So you're thinking about moving to Saginaw, Texas. Well, in this video, we are going to talk about the pros and cons to moving to Saginaw. And if you stick around to the very end, we're going to tell you about some events that they have going on.
And if this is your first time to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to be the first to know what's happening in the Texas real estate market, go ahead and hit that bell.
Welcome to the show. My name is Tom Jung.
And I'm Jack Lisenby.
And we are your local Dallas-Fort Worth real estate agents. If you are looking to buy here in the next few days or a few months, we would love to work with you. Please don't hesitate to give us a call, shoot us a text, or drop us an email. We also have a little button up at the top of YouTube where you can schedule a time. So that's great if you want to use that. Also, if you live in Saginaw and you just ran across this, we are giving our take on Saginaw. We would love somebody's perspective. So if you live there, please do post in the comments your pros or your cons or both of them to help other folks that are thinking about moving to the area. But as far as Saginaw goes, a lot of people don't really know where this is. It's
strangely enough.
Yeah, I guess it's not that big of an area.
That's fair. I might be a little biased. I go there a lot.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I feel like it's always really kind of been overlooked. What would you say is the feel of Saginaw?
Saginaw has a very Fort Worthy feel to it. So it's not too far from the stockyards. It's close to like the Meacham Airport, like very big Fort Worth landmarks, if you will. And so it really carries that energy with it because it was an agricultural town originally, and every time you drive down the main road and you see those big grain silos on the far side, it's just everything about it just screams Fort Worth.
I gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. I always look at it as more of like a blue collar, like it's like houses and then your main street out of there.
It really is like the quintessential one road town.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so speaking of the grain, if you haven't seen it, like anybody that's driven through Saginaw, like you can't miss these grain silos, and they're basically for farmers to bring their grains to. There's a bunch of railroad tracks that are sitting right behind it, so they load up all the trains, and that's a big part of Saginaw. Really. Yeah, apart from that, there's not much else, right?
Yeah, they've
there's a bunch of like industrial stuff right there around the train tracks where all the switchboards are. But
yeah, on the southern side, it's mostly still very much old school Saginaw. On the north and eastern side, they are developing a lot, so they're trying to build it back up.
Yes. Yeah, and there's new neighborhoods going in, right? Up on the Yeah. I always like the new
highway or whatever.
Yeah, I always think Saginaw is bigger than it is, and I look it back up and I'm like, no, that's actually Fort Worth. So Fort Worth kind of wraps around Saginaw, and then to the east you have Blue Mound, which is something we'll probably never do a video on because
there's nothing out there.
Yeah, I'm like, this is its own town. It's literally, I looked this up today, it's a half square mile. That's how small Blue Mound is. So
yeah, it's basically its own thing because of the helium factory over there, and that's about it.
Yeah. So anyways, Blue Mound's right there. Anyways, neither here nor there. So yeah, let's jump into it. Location wise, drive times, all that.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, Saginaw is on the northeastern side of Fort Worth, just outside of the Loop 820, which means that it's only about a 20-minute drive from downtown Fort Worth. It puts it about half an hour from Arlington and about 35 minutes from Weatherford, its next closest westerly neighbor. And then Dallas is going to take you about 45 minutes to get to, which means that the DFW airport's only about 25 minutes away on a good day.
You know what's interesting about this is like where it's located. For the longest time, when I first got into real estate, I was like, why are all these houses so much cheaper? Because the location, like you can jump right on 820 and get wherever. And for whatever reason, in the last couple of years, they've really caught up in price just because the demand's been so high. But yeah. Anyways, cool. So schools. So if you're thinking about moving here, you got kids. Obviously, you want to know about schools. Or if you don't have kids, resale value. They are in the Eagle Mountain Independent School District. And so this is, it's a good school district. It's rated a B+, and a lot of the schools are A-, A rated. So like and this is all according to niche.com. Comanche Springs Elementary is A-, Highland Middle School, A-, Saginaw High School, A rated, and they have a very high graduation rate, so that's good. Student-to-teacher ratio, 15-1, which is also outperforming the national average. So all of that is positive.
Yeah, and actually, I think the only reason that they have a B+ rating for their overall ISD is because they do include an alternative disciplinary facility as part of the school district.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, which probably brings the rating down a decent amount.
Yeah, they were fairly. I think the rating on their sports was actually pretty high. Their athletics program, and then I think they were lacking a little bit on food. I've noticed that. I don't know how they rank school food.
I don't know. I've never had good food at school, to be honest.
Yeah, except for burrito day. Man, I love burrito day.
We had pizza day, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was good. The only day I look forward to.
Okay, all right. Nice. How about crime? What does crime look like?
Crime, oddly enough, in Saginaw, especially being an industrial area, was a lot lower than I was expecting. It's actually only 17.5 for every 1,000 people, which puts it below Fort Worth by almost 7 for each 1,000. So Fort Worth is rated at about 24. National average, I believe, is just over 24, just under 24. And then Saginaw is at 17.5. Oddly enough, though, since it's so small, it more than doubles the crime density at 56 compared to the national average of 26.
So there's more crime per person?
So yes, per person there's less, but consider since it's such a small area.
Okay, yeah.
That crime per square mile is just
gotcha
up there.
Yeah, and I don't know why I was doing this, but one day I was looking up like the crime map on Saginaw, and basically everything's green except for this big red block around all that industrial stuff. So I mean,
yeah, it's pretty much that.
Yeah, so more than likely it's neighborhoods are going to be pretty safe. It's just probably a lot of theft and that sort of thing. Cool. All right. So things to do. There is a park, and that's about it in Saginaw proper.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, but on the flip side, it's Willow Creek Park is the main park there. And it's a decent size.
Yeah,
it's
like pretty good.
Location-wise, you're close to everything. As you mentioned earlier, you're not far from the stockyard. It's probably 15 minutes. You're 15 minutes from a boat ramp at Eagle Mountain. You're probably closer to Lake Worth, depending on where you're coming from. Maybe. And then the Alliance area is probably 10 to 15 minutes away. And if you're not familiar with that area, we've got another video on that. We'll link to it. So if you want to check that out, there's a ton to do over there. I mean, movies and restaurants and all that kind of stuff. So you're not going to be too far from that. But yeah. Oh, and they have a Frisbee golf course just to the west.
Nice.
Yeah, between Saginaw and the lake, there's a Frisbee golf course.
I had a buddy that was super into that. He'd hit some crazy shots. I'll never understand how people get that good.
Too much, too much
free time.
Yeah, I guess. It's a great activity. Go out for a walk and get some exercise, clear your head, and throw a disc around while you're at it. So, but yeah, that's my take on things to do. What do you got for restaurants and nightlife?
So as far as eats go,
have you got anything?
yes. There's actually a decent amount of stuff. There's plenty of small mom and pops and pop-ups and stuff like that. I'll try and keep it to some of the bigger names without going into the franchises. But one of the biggest ones they have out there is the Lake House. It's actually an American traditional style. It's not too far from the edge of Eagle Mountain, which is right along the lake there. We also have the Eagles Point, which is a burger joint, and Texas Pit Barbecue, which is probably the best barbecue in town. I'm sure somebody's going to refute that. Please tell me I'm stupid in the comments. Boo Ray's. So there's actually a really big Cajun restaurant up there.
I've been there a few times.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But I think it's just really weird of all the places for Cajun to pop up and be that successful. It just happened to be Saginaw.
It's such a weird spot too. We would always hit it on our way home from the lake. It was it was a perfect spot for that.
And then we have the Saginaw Switchyard, which is actually a food truck. And the only reason I included this one is because they because it is such an industrialized area, and having worked in a factory and a warehouse before, food trucks are a godsend. And this one looked like it had some legit grub.
Yeah. So speaking of that, that was actually my event that I was going to talk about here at the end. So the Saginaw Switchyard, which is at the south end of the Willow Creek Park. I mean, it's really just like a couple pavilions, and then food trucks will come up. They have a concert series that they're doing this year. I think they're trying to make it an annual thing. Okay. So they're partnering with the Fort Worth Arts board thing, whatever, committee. Okay. I don't know exactly what it's called. Anyways, but they're starting a concert series out there, and I think it's pretty cool. And they'll pull up a bunch of food trucks, like you mentioned, and I found some of those. We'll put them on the screen. But apart from that, that's about all I could find on Saginaw as far as events go. So,
yeah, it very much is still an agricultural industrial town, but like the people up there, they're great energy. The cops are making sure nothing crazy's happening.
So all in all, I mean, it's really not a bad place to live. So if you're thinking that might be the place for you, let us know. And as always, we've got resources below. Whether you're looking to move here, we've got guides and emails and all kinds of stuff, whatever you need, it's there. And if there's something that we didn't talk about that you want to hear about, please let us know. But other than that, if you're looking to buy or sell, remember to keep calm. Call Tom.